All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Picture this. We're standing together in the spectacular, light-filled galleries of the Louvre Abu Dhabi. Right in front of us is an unparalleled masterwork, one that literally altered the entire trajectory of Western vision. We're looking at the Ghent Altarpiece, a truly monumental work, originally completed way back in 1432. And just to set the stakes here, consider this quote: "An object of such staggering beauty and immense historical gravity that empires have literally gone to war to possess it." I mean, before we even start unpacking all the incredible layers of paint and hidden iconography, we have to acknowledge the wild, high-stakes history of this piece. The gravity of what we're looking at goes far, far beyond just wood and pigment. Section 1. A masterpiece worth stealing. A coveted masterpiece. So right off the bat, we've got a massive art history whodunit at the core of this masterpiece. Who actually painted it? Now, for centuries, everyone basically handed all the credit to the supreme genius of Northern Renaissance painting, John van Eyck. But there is some really compelling historical evidence suggesting that his elusive older brother, Hubert van Eyck, might have actually started this colossal project before John finished it. So right at its foundation, there's this fantastic, captivating mystery. And beyond its mysterious origins, the physical object itself bears the profound scars of global history. I mean, after it was finished in 1432, it faced centuries of absolute peril. Its original ornately carved protective frame, tragically lost, presumably smashed to pieces during the violent waves of Protestant iconoclasm in the 16th century, which were these highly targeted attacks on Catholic art. But the crazy journey doesn't end there. During World War II, this specific painting was fiercely coveted by the Nazis. It was systematically looted by the Third Reich and ultimately hidden away deep inside the dark, damp caverns of an Austrian salt mine. It was miraculously rescued by the Allied monuments men. When you realize everything this piece has survived, it is honestly a staggering miracle that we even get to look at it today. Section 2. The theatrical machine, a kinetic art piece. To really understand the sheer impact of this piece, we have to completely change the way we look at it. You can't just think of this as a static, flat painting hanging on a wall. It's actually a kinetic theatrical machine. It's what art historians call a polyptych. That means it's a massive work made up of many individual wooden panels, and they are all connected by heavy iron hinges, allowing the whole massive structure to open and close. And that structural mechanism isn't just some physical detail, it's absolutely crucial to what the artwork actually means. Those heavy hinges dictated two completely distinct, highly choreographed ways that the congregation was meant to experience the art. Think of it like a performance. For most of the liturgical year, the altarpiece stayed firmly closed, presenting this muted, very earthly exterior to the people. It was quiet, restrained. But then, on high feast days, those heavy panels would be dramatically swung wide open. It acted as this sudden, blinding visual revelation of the divine. It was designed to be a completely overwhelming theatrical event. Section 3. Decoding the closed panels. The muted exterior. Let's guide our eyes vertically down this altarpiece, basically reading it from top to bottom. At the very top, tucked up in those lunettes, we have ancient prophets and classical sibyls holding these intricately painted scrolls and books. In Christian theology, these are the figures who predicted the coming of the Messiah. And what's so brilliant about Van Eyck's layout is that the exact moment they predicted is physically unfolding directly underneath them in the middle panels, the Annunciation. Then, finally, you drop down to the lower panels, and we step right into the realm of everyday earthly worship with the patrons and saints. Now, I want you to look really closely at those middle panels for a second. On the far left, you've got the Archangel Gabriel, his wings glowing with celestial light, and he's holding a lily. He's announcing to the Virgin Mary, who is sitting way over on the far right panel, that she is about to conceive Christ. But look at the space right in between them. Van Eyck inserts this fabulous, light-filled cityscape across the middle two panels. It's a totally empty, unoccupied domestic space. And that empty room isn't just filler. It serves a profound theological purpose. It visually creates this quiet, waiting opportunity for Christ's imminent arrival right into the human world. Section 4. A different visual language. The Northern Renaissance. Now, it's really important that we don't confuse what's happening here with what was developing at this exact same time down in Florence, Italy. The Italian Renaissance was all about rational naturalism, mathematical realism, and this strict obsession with precise underlying human anatomy. The Northern Renaissance, entirely different visual language. They went all in on intuitive perspective, incredibly heavy sculptural drapery, and a fierce, obsessive focus on microscopic surface details over structural anatomy. You can see those exact northern traits so vividly in that Annunciation scene we were just looking at. Just look at the architecture of the room. We're seeing a really awkward, almost intuitive kind of linear perspective. The floor tilts upward way too sharply, and Mary and Gabriel, they are so disproportionately huge compared to the room that they look like they'd literally bump their heads on the wooden ceiling if they tried to stand up. Plus, notice their bodies. They are entirely subsumed by their garments. This heavy sculptural drapery genuinely possesses a life of its own. Look at the deep, sharp, angular folds of Mary's white robes. The fabric just cascades and crumples onto the floor in these complex geometric patterns, practically hiding the human form entirely.
Section 5. The Oil Paint Revolution. A New Medium.
Let your eyes travel all the way down to the lowest register of the closed altarpiece. Remember, this monumental object was made for a private family chapel in St. Bavo's Cathedral, commissioned by the wealthy patrons kneeling right here in the bottom corners. And they are painted with this terrifying, unflinching realism. Right between the husband and wife, we see figures representing John the Baptist and John the Evangelist. Super important figures for the patron's family. But notice how they're painted. They are done in a technique called grisaille. This is where figures are rendered entirely in shades of gray to perfectly mimic actual 3D stone sculptures. It's an amazing optical illusion.
But the absolute triumph of these lower panels, and frankly what we always celebrate when talking about the Northern Renaissance, is the artist's astonishing ability to represent completely different material textures. How on earth did Van Eyck pull this off? Well, he used the relatively new medium of oil paint. Because oil dries incredibly slowly and is highly translucent, he could apply layer upon layer of these microscopic glazes. It's basically chemical magic, and it unlocked aesthetic possibilities that literally did not exist before.
Just look at the patron on the bottom left to see this magic in action. The fur lining on his dark collar doesn't just look like paint. It feels intensely tactile, like you could reach out and pet it. And look at the deep wrinkles and the sagging, translucent flesh on his face. Thanks to those translucent oil glazes, his skin genuinely looks like the fragile, weathered skin of a real, breathing old man. It is breathtaking. Ultimately, when you are standing in front of this piece, you are witnessing the exact moment Western art learned how to truly capture light itself. This revolutionary application of oil paint profoundly changed the entire sensory experience of looking at art. It transformed a flat wooden board into a luminous, hyper-realistic mirror of the physical world. Van Eyck succeeded in capturing the vastness of the divine right inside the microscopic details of the everyday. So as we bring this explainer to a close, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. How does this 15th century innovation of capturing light in everyday details still shape the way we visually document our world today? From ultra-high-definition photography to modern cinema, our visual culture's total obsession with capturing the exact texture of reality has roots that stretch all the way back to these hinged wooden panels painted in 1432. Keep that in mind the next time you marvel at a beautifully lit image. Thanks for joining me, and keep exploring.